What's up, my fellow Strength Ninja friends, and welcome to training. And although this might seem like a clickbait video, this is not clickbait. I'm going to show you how to build body weight strength mastery, and I believe that it's something that you can make significant progress on even by the end of this year. And so that includes an increase in flexibility, an increase in strength, and an increase in overall movement so that you have athletic longevity for life. And I've done this for thousands of students, for kids, teens, and adults, even 30s, 40s, 50s. So we're gonna dive into it today, and there are 3 different moves that incorporate several unique elements of training and that all tie together at the end. As we get down to the floor, we're putting our hands down with that wide finger grip that I talked about in other videos that allow you to establish a good foundation for your pushing strength. Then you may be right here in this position working on what's called a pyramid push-up. You might be at that sort of pre-beginner level, and that is okay. What this movement is going to do is it's going to start to help unlock the hamstrings. If you keep them straight, that is, and you're not training like a caveman or cave woman. So what we want to do is allow the body time to begin adapting and to start rising to new levels of strength. And so another level might look something like this, where as we're coming down, the pressure goes so much so into the upper body that our feet actually start to hover and we start to defy gravity. And I want to drive this point home. You've got to understand that we want to move beyond one level and progress to the next level, and to keep that going throughout life. So for example, this move here, where we have straight legs and the fingers are out in a wide position, and then we push up and we're working the shoulders and the triceps and the hamstring flexibility, that could be considered an elementary level. Then as we start to float the feet up, that could be considered kind of maybe middle school level. And so depending on what the weak links are, the imbalances, it might keep a person stuck at one of those levels. And so again, to drive that point home, you've got to understand that we want to graduate up those levels, and to the point that we are then in a handstand position. And I'm showing you one that's very unique. It's unique to the way that I train and I coach people, and we've seen a lot of progress with our principles and practices put into place. Notice that nice alliteration of P's right there. That's why people hire us to train them. CEOs, pilots, engineers, software developers, firefighters, all sorts of folks hire us to help them graduate up those levels. And that one there, the bent arm handstand, probably looks pretty ugly, to be quite honest. But this, being able to do small reps with control, it's kind of like going from middle school to high school. And another point that I want you to understand is that those are significant jumps. So we're talking about a whole stage of practice that is, I'm comparing to elementary school, and a whole stage of practice that I'm comparing to middle school, and then a whole stage of practice that I'm comparing to high school, which involve multiple years. And that ends up being the way that a lot of people train. They kind of get stuck in these phases over the course of years or decades. They're not making any progress, and you might get frustrated or angry or irritated that you're stuck, or maybe you're in pain dealing with chronic injuries because of the overuse of those specific specialized exercises that are really kind of rote practice in most of mainstream fitness. So we want to start graduating up through those levels. And so that would start to take into consideration some of the pushing strength. Eventually, yes, you do want to be able to hold a nice vertical handstand, body straight, locked out. And that all is pushing strength through the triceps and the shoulders and the traps and your core, holding everything stable, and your legs pointed the right direction. Again, not all bent and crazy like a cave person. So the next one that we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here. And again, we're gonna combine all of these together. So these are not just individual moves, but we're gonna show you something special at the end. Oh, and make sure that you put your wins and victories in the comments. There's a lot of good comments there. I appreciate that, just hearing from folks, whether you're a student or not. Some people, they take pieces of what we do and they apply it to their training and they get very good progress, and awesome. I always do make the disclaimer that don't mistake videos for instruction, obviously, but whenever you can get into good coaching and you're surrounded by good community, the progress that you make is undeniable, and really it's like an accelerant. It's like throwing kerosene on a fire. So the next one, developing your pulling strength. And again, I don't want you to think about these things as fractured, independent, isolated kind of moves, but something that we're going to start connecting together into a physical literacy. Okay, so maybe and trying to get your first chin up. Maybe you're at an over grip stage where you're doing pull-ups. Maybe they're pump reps like that. Maybe they're full reps. And then there's even levels beyond that. So what oftentimes people do is they look through life almost as if they can't see that there could be progress right around the corner. I remember I was studying Hebrew, and I was in Hebrew class, and the Hebrew instructor, the professor, he was saying that learning Hebrew is like driving through fog. And as you go through it, it's very difficult. It's unexpected, and this is an analogy to your physical training. The parallel is very direct. So you're going through and you don't know what is right around the corner, or what is even just 3 or 4 feet in front of you. It could be that thick with uncertainty, unknown. You don't know what you don't know. And then those things that might be holding you back, such as chronic injuries, past injuries, fear of failure, fear you might repeat those injuries. A lot of those things could be like holding you back. It's like constantly pumping the brake instead of making the progress. And in his analogy of learning Hebrew, he said, as you learn the words, and I oftentimes compare the moves that we do, specific individual moves, to like letters in the alphabet or like words. He says, as you learn the words, the conjugations, how the words work together, and you get a little bit further and a little bit further, you look back and then you see, oh wow, you see the clarity of the path. And then you can share that with somebody else because you know it so well. But that fog is there in front of you for those steps that you need to take, but you don't know which way to go. So another one is that ability to pull all the way up with enough power to get over an obstacle. Okay, so as we come back to the floor, again, put your notes, put your wins and victories in the comments. I'm sure both students and non-students alike watch these videos, so all of you guys put them in there. We end every training session with that, always trying to end on a high note. That's a big difference too, is not training to failure, but training to success. Most programs, most training teaches to train to failure for only muscular hypertrophy. That is at a very beginner level of training, in my opinion. And we have made a lot of progress with a lot of students to very high levels. So I think I have a little bit of authority to express my opinion in this area. So muscular hypertrophy is a very basic subset of all of physical training. And it focuses on that. A lot of methodologies focus on the idea of training to failure. And you're training your body to get to a point where it fails and then not going any further than that. It's a lot like school, whether it's public, private, or even college. But what we want to do instead is actually train in a completely different way. This is how we train. So we don't focus on sets and reps. I talk about a lot of that in the other videos on the channel, but it's about the volume of training over time that then crystallizes into something brand new. Basically, you're unlocking a new skill. Okay, so let's look at this as an example. Let's say that you're right here and you're learning how to get a little bit more hip mobility. So this is the typical squat coming all the way down. A different one would be putting the feet together and then bending the knees. This is also a stick position. So imagine you land a front flip, boom, or a back flip, boom, and you're landing solid in that stick position. Sometimes feet are totally together, sometimes this, sometimes this. A lot of other sports too, these kind of positions with power and force where you're hitting the ground. So a feet together squat, extending the hips out behind, reaching the hands forward to counterbalance, and compressing all the way down and back up. That would be like elementary school level, okay? The hip mobility, the knee mobility, just the basics. Sometimes it's rehabbing that squat to be able to get to that level, okay? So that's the beginning of the crystallization to a new skill. It's not based on sets and reps until failure, but upon training to success. And so the next one would be lifting the leg, holding the leg straight up, and extending out with the bottom leg, not like this bent, but both legs straight, looking out in front. You can see the bottom foot twitching, going back and forth, trying to regain balance. And that's a whole other topic too, that balance is a myth. But we want to have the arms out, eyes straight, and we're holding that foot, okay? As another position on an elementary level that starts to help crystallize something into a brand new skill. And so let's say that you're training a couple of weeks, couple of months, and you're training the low squat position. Maybe you get to the point where you're going a little bit more intermediate and you're doing a static hold low, bent leg, straight leg out in front. Whoop, that turned into a single leg squat. Now, if you're training a lot, you don't want to be training to failure all the time. Sometimes it's okay, muscular hypertrophy in some cases. But whenever we're doing a lot of volume to build up to the point where we unlock a new skill like a single leg squat, that is training to success. And it might look like this for you. You're training for a long time, a couple weeks, couple months, and then finally, boom, you unlock that. That is the time to end on a high note and share those wins and victories. It's a completely different mindset regarding your training. And then even within those punctuated areas, punctuated time frames of training, like let's say it was just a 90-minute block from yesterday, you want to try to end that on a high note. And we emphasize that a lot. Okay, so you've graduated up to the single leg squat, unlocking new moves of the body. So now let's start to tie all of this together, like I said, because I believe that you can make significant progress, probably significantly more progress than you realize is possible in your body weight strength by the end of the year. even within 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you could make massive amounts of progress if you do these principles and implement what I'm showing you in these videos and get with good coaching and good community. So let's start connecting this together. If we drop down, we're using the mobility that we've been working on with the single leg squats. Okay, now imagine that we come down this way, then we roll over to that pyramid position. Now we're going from legs straight to upper body, and this is full body training. So we're down, over, then from here, adding dynamics. That will begin with swings of the arms at the elementary level. Okay, and then whenever we apply that to our movement here, down to our single leg squat stance, wrapping around, throwing the arms around, and then landing back in that push-up position. Transference of weight from the upper body to the lower body, back to the upper body, with speed involved, and your cardiovascular system working, because every time you're going through movements like these, your heart is pumping faster, your mind is engaged, and you're entering into a state of flow, which is helping you develop on a completely different level. And so let's add the last movement to this, and this is pulling, pun, from the muscle up work, from the different variations of the pull-ups that we did, and then expressing that movement just on the floor. So we're pulling ourselves from here, pulling through that muscle up position, but just on the ground, to get our feet through our hands and back up to vertical. So once again, or this way. So tying all of these together, and I'm sure that you can imagine a number of different disciplines of movement, sports, different training styles, different activities in life that these will start to apply to. And just having that sense of better movement and the ability to adapt all of these different pieces of strength to any area of life is going to open up so much more. So like I said, I know that you can achieve body weight strength and build to mastery within a very short period of time. But we have to be able to shift our train of thought a little bit, start cutting through that fog, and staying focused on the task at hand. I'll see you in the next video and in training soon.